Hello, I'm Jan Sommerfeld, and I'm one of the product managers here at Snowflake working on pipeline observability. Of course, for data engineers, observability is key when building data projects or running transformation pipelines. You always want to know what is going on, have that affirmation that everything is as expected. And if something actually goes wrong at some point, you want to get notified about this as quickly as possible. Snowflake Trail helps with that and makes it actually really easy to find these issues in Snowflake quickly. So let's have a look how Snowflake Trail shows us all pipeline events in one place. Of course, for a data engineer, it's critical to have full observability on data projects and pipelines. It's important to know when something goes wrong, and even if everything goes according to plan, you want to have that affirmation that things are actually as expected. Snowflake Trail makes that really easy. You just turn on the native telemetry in Snowflake, and that's it. That reduces not just the time to detect any issues, but ultimately also your time to resolution, because it makes debugging much faster and lets you fix your problems and get your pipeline back up and running. To do that, you can go to the Snowsight UI to analyze your logs there, or you can export them to a third-party tool, as we're also supporting OpenTelemetry. Snowflake Trail actually spans across pipeline observability, app observability, and data observability. Let's have a closer look at the first one. Here we can monitor task runs, dynamic table refreshes, copies through Snowpipe, or procedure calls, no matter if it's in SQL or Snowpark. The same goes for functions and Streamlit apps. All of these events go to a central event table, and then you just have to create an alert to get notified. Here's a more detailed picture. You can see on the left, there's a big data pipeline project with lots of different building blocks. You can use all of them and as many as you want. So no matter if you have a failed task run or a failed dynamic table refresh, pipe copy, Python procedures, Streamlit apps, or even just successful runs and refreshes that you want to get notified about, or different steps in a long procedure, all of these are logged into a central event table. And then all you have to do is set up an alert on this event table. There are two options you can choose from. You can either create a new data alert that automatically listens to the event table and a specific set of events that come in there to then trigger a notification. Or if you rather want to have it grouped, for example, as a daily summary for a specific project or database, you can also schedule an alert. And then you can get a summary of all the events that happened since the last check. Your alert is using the notification integration to send this message to the destination of your choice. And then when you get that notification, you can either go to the Snowsight UI to see all of these logs together in one place, or you can also go straight to the root cause and look at the object that omitted this log to see what's going on. Setting up event logging is actually pretty easy. Of course, first you have to grant the required privileges, and then you can either create a new event table or use the default one. You just set the event table for a database or for the entire account. Then you can set the log levels and trace levels. These are your severity levels, so you can either set them only for errors to get notified if something's really bad, or you can set them on a warn level or info level or even debug level to get all of the events in one place. So that's even more detailed for you. Then all you have to do is either log into Snowsight to see all of these events coming in as your pipeline is running, or of course you can build your own dashboards on top of the event table if you want to have your own aggregations or visualizations there. Or you can export these logs to any third-party tool as we're supporting the OpenTelemetry standard. Here's an example what this looks like in the Snowsight Log Explorer. You can find it on the left under monitoring and then traces and logs. I already selected the event table that I want to use, and then I have all the logs in one place, and I can start filtering them by severity level or database or search for specific objects to see more details. Of course, I don't want to log into Snowsight all the time just to see if there are any new logs. So the important second part here is setting up alerts on the event table. First, we have to create a notification integration. This defines the destination for our message. It could be a user email or a webhook, for example, for Slack or PagerDuty or Microsoft Teams, or you can leverage message queues like AWS SNS or Google PubSub or Azure Event Grid. Then you can create an alert on your event table. So it's listening for new rows being added to this event table that meet certain criteria that you have defined in a select statement. And then it calls the notification integration to send you that message. This can either be a triggered alert, so whenever new rows are added to the event table, or a scheduled on a cron job, for example, or any interval that you've defined. And of course, you can create these alerts either on a user warehouse or serverless for even better cost optimization. A third optional step that I can highly recommend is to also format your messages so that they really fit your message destination. For example, for emails, you can use an HTML format to have a table that is easier to read. Or for Slack or PagerDuty, you can use a JSON format that is optimized for this channel so that you can get some color coding and just better grouping and readability or buttons for your links. The other important thing is to decide what you want to have in your message payload. So you can decide if you also want to add links to these objects or the specific error messages or any other metadata that you want to see in your notifications. Here are some examples for this. You can see a table format in HTML for emails that gives you a nice overview of all these logs. Or you can format them for Slack using this block format with some buttons and Slack optimized formatting. And the same goes for Microsoft Teams. So with Snowflake Trail, you can just set it up and forget about it. You have an initial setup either on the database level or the account level, and then there's no more configuration needed on the object level. So that means any newly created tasks or dynamic tables or UDFs, they're all automatically supported because they inherit the severity levels from the parents. Of course, you can overwrite them if you set them on object level, but if you create some new objects or make changes or drop them, you don't have to worry about adjusting your observability there because they're all on the same account or in the same database. And you also don't have to set up individual alerts for all of these objects. You just have one or two alerts on your central database, and you know that all the new events that happen will be caught by this alert, and you will get notified. That makes it much easier to maintain this observability layer. The convenient grouping of these events into one notification also gives you a much rounder picture of what's going on. Maybe you have events happening on different objects, but they're all kind of related to each other. If you get them in one notification, it's much easier to quickly assess what is caused and what is actually the root of the problem. So if you want to try this out yourself, we have prepared a quick start with demo notebooks that you can find in our public Git repository. You just go to github.com to Snowflake Labs and then search for data pipeline observability. You can run these notebooks directly in Snowflake and you can customize them and adjust them to get started today. So I can tell you from my own experience that getting these notifications is really useful. Whenever one of my test projects that I have fails, I get the notification coming in right away, and I get my daily health ping that just shows me that everything is running okay. So I really hope these are super useful for you as well. And you can get started today. Just download the notebook, go through it, customize it to your projects, and start experimenting with it.